Well, hello peeps, here we have my updated DH 10.2 rotational guide. Now, last time I don't think I did us justice, especially on the Fel Barrage side of things, and we also have kind of new variations of the builds that we are going to be using, so we were going to go over all those things, and of course all the different aspects of DH damage. So first off, we gotta talk about the tier set, of course. Our 2 set is extremely important to the way we do damage. It just cuts down on a global, on a Troglaive global, makes our blade dance casts extremely powerful, even more powerful than usual, right? And of course our 4 set just is a kind of a throughput on the hunt, gives us a lower cooldown while also increasing its damage over time a little bit, right? That is it as far as the 2 set and the 4 set are considered. We can now start with the explanation of the cooldowns. I'll start off with the Metamorphosis just because it's not here anymore. Meta is our main enabling cooldown. This is like Avatar for warriors, Wings for retribution paladins, Icy Veins for frost mages, right? It is our main, just increases our spec, or how would you say, our overall spec damage and stuff cooldown, right? It's generally speaking very simple, even though it's not like a 20% damage modifier like most of the other cooldowns are, right? But yeah, it's very simple. 2-minute cooldown can be used as mobility as well, 40-yard range, and also can be used to immune abilities, right? Immune CC, immune damage. Overall, very strong CD. Moving on to the hunt, which is our, I would say, main throughput CD this patch or this this season. Simply because of the 4 set, us having a lot more casts of it and also having a little bit more damage over time on it. 50-yard range, it's a dash, does a lot of damage, increases your leech on the target. You're not gonna be using it from 50 yards away usually because it can be tricked, right? It can be shadow melded and such, and you can get CC'd while flying in the air, but how would I say? One of our main damaging nukes, right? Releasing Decree is more of an enabling cooldown, I would call it. It is an AoE nuke, does a lot of AoE damage, 1-minute CD, but I would almost always try to stack this with something else, right? Fel Barrage, the Hunt, you know, whatever your kind of build you're using or playing, right? You just want to always stack this with something simply because it is more of an enabling cooldown. You can also, of course, use it to just finish off targets, and you can also use it to kind of save yourself, since it's gonna generate a lot of soul shards and you're gonna get healed quite a bit. But generally speaking, right, it is kind of what I call an enabling cooldown, where you're trying to use this with something else to make sure you have the fury up and also to just, you know, increase the damage of the overall combo. Moving on to the Demon Hunter side of things, our bread and butter, this entire expansion, Essence Break. If you are a new Demon Hunter, then you of course don't know this, but if you are, you know, a main DH, this is expansion, then yeah, you know everything about this. This is a cooldown we've been using this whole time, 40-second cooldown, lines up with I-Beam, absolutely amazing damage that comes out of it. It is, how would I say, it does keep in line with the Demon Hunter being very predictable, right? People always know I-Beam is gonna be followed by an Essence Break into a Death Sweep, right? But it is amazing damage nonetheless, and on top of it being like AoE damage, so it is great. It is absolutely great. And of course our last CD, which is Fel Barrage, it has been nerfed quite a bit at this point, but I still feel like it's doing really good damage whenever I'm running it. I would say it is quite clunky, so if you are like a new Demon or an old Demon Hunter, right? A new Demon Hunter or an old Demon Hunter, this is not something that's gonna be, I would say, like very fun to use when you first start using it. It's gonna be definitely take a little bit of practice, right? But overall, I think it still does great damage, even though it is has been kind of relegated to fluff mainly. Now we do have some new build changes. We used to run something like, I showed you actually originally something like this, then we were running something like this, and now we are at the build like this. Now we gotta talk about quickly about inertia and a fire inside bug that has been fixed. So this is like the main reason why we are not using inertia as much anymore. We used to be able to cut down on globals by emulation aura, not having a global, not incurring a global when you had an emulation aura on yourself already. So you were able basically to Emo Aura, Fel Rush into instant Emo Aura into Fel Rush, right? And that lets you basically leverage inertia to a degree that you really can't anymore, because you actually have like, how you say, globals, you actually have like a stutter almost between it, right? So this is definitely why inertia has fallen out of favor, on top of the fact that momentum is just a constant, basically a constant 6%, almost with 100% uptime, because all of your dash abilities, other than Felblade, right, are gonna proc it. So definitely the reason why we are straying away from inertia these days, but I still feel like it can be run, and I think it's still definitely a good, definitely better in burst, right? It's double the amount of bonus damage than momentum. And again, this is just to reiterate, this is again why inertia is just not as popular anymore, and why Fel Barrages has also kind of fallen out of popularity for most people. Definitely, if you're a new player, you should run a build like this. I originally showed you, I think, something like this, right? But if you're a new player, run something like this. If you're somebody who's like more trained on DH, definitely try out the Fel Barrage. I still think there are some situations where it's just better, like definitely like melee cleaves, where you're just gonna be cleaving constantly. I think it's probably gonna do a lot of more pressure than not having Fel Barrage, just simply because Fel Barrage just does, like, yeah, I feel like Fel Barrage still in just an AoE can do an insane amount of damage, and if your teammate is like bursting during your Fel Barrage, yeah, that's you guys are doing some insane damage in that moment. So yeah, even after like the, how would you say, the many nerfs, I still think Fel Barrage can do some insane damage, and definitely like RBGs, solo RBGs, you're still gonna run the Fel Barrage build, I think, over the, how would you say, Furious Gaze momentum, let's call it. Another thing that's really important for us to talk about is mobility is damage and mobility over damage. So this whole line here, it makes your mobility be important to your damage. Really important, you all know what all these talents do, right? But the main thing is that I want to talk about is that of mobility over damage. And what I mean by that is there's gonna be many situations where you don't want to use your mobility just for the damage, right? You actually want to use your mobility for the mobility, which is in turn gonna make you do more damage throughout the match, right? Simply by you having uptime, more uptime. So just an important thing to think about when you're doing your damage as a demon hunter, because sometimes you can get gassed out with your mobility because you're just like doing everything to combo into your damage, and it ultimately just gasses you out where you can't actually keep up with your target, or you can't actually kite or do anything with your mobility that you should be doing in PvP. Now, actually, the final thing that we have to go over is the Vengeful Retreat, Fel Blade, and like Fel Rush combos. The fact that these also don't incur a normal global cooldown, right? Fel Blades and Fel Rush both have a reduced global cooldown, and Vengeful Retreat is actually off the global cooldown, other than Fel Rush, if it actually is, how do you say, exclusively on the global cooldown with Fel Rush, right? If I Fel Rush, I can't actually Vengeful Retreat. If I Vengeful Retreat, I can't Fel Rush, but I can Fel Blade. So it does allow us for some combos. Fel Blade also has a reduced global cooldown, so it does allow us for some interesting combos, right? Something like this is possible. This is just like an example, right? Then you can also like combo it with Fel Rush, Fel Blade, Fel Rush, Fel Blade into a global cooldown. So you can basically do 3 globals in for one global, for the cost of one global, let's say it, right? So it's very important you have this, how do you say, combo set up, because a lot of times you'll have like a Fel Blade reset as you're having like a Unbound Chaos proc, so you can do something like this where you get three globals just instantly. It's also very good, of course. Let me get the reset here with Fel Blades. The fact that you can also just always come back from a Vengeful Retreat, and you don't actually have to like aim a Vengeful Retreat, right? So let's say you're like melee, it's like a melee target or whatever, you can Vengeful Retreat, come back very easily, right? Or even you're, how do you say, chasing the target, you can, you know, jump back, but then, you know, be right back on the target really quickly. The reason we are going over all this is because I want you to truly understand how to make these combos, since a lot of times in PvP we don't have the perfect scenario and you need to be able to adjust these on the go. Sustained rotation, Blade Dance, Throw-Glaive at 2 stacks, Chaos Strike priority. Very simple as far as Fury spending is considered, and where we now have many options is where it comes to Fury generation. Generally I would put it as an emulation, Fel Blade, Sigil Flame, Vengeful Retreat priority. But there's a few things to keep in mind, like Fel Blade resets, which can combo nicely with Unbound Chaos into another global. In general, doubling on globals with Fel Rush and Fel Blade. But also the previously mentioned topic of mobility is damage and mobility over damage. So Sigil of Flame over Fellblade at times. Also don't worry on overcapping of Fury as much as you would usual, since if you can only use Chaos Strike, most of your generators actually are gonna deal as much or more damage. If you're using Inertia, then always try to sequence Immolation Aura into Fel Rush to proc the buff, and the focus of enabling your damage this way. Quick note as well, you should practice these on the dummies in Stormwind or elsewhere, anywhere where there isn't a wall behind the dummy, even if the damage might be unrealistic as hell. So our first combo and our bread and butter this entire expansion, the Essence Break combo. We'll start off simple, build Fury, proc Momentum, stun, I-Beam, Essence Break, Death Sweep into 3 annihilations. Main sequence being I-Beam into Essence Break into Death Sweep. With Inertia it's the same, just with the momentum you can cut down on some globals since you might have the buff from getting to your target. And if you're running Fel Barrage, there is no need to fully channel I-Beam. Getting into the Hunt combos and Elysian Decree combos, to my DH mains the Hunt should already be something you know how to combo. The basic combo for Elysian Decree is the same almost, just make sure you do Fel Rush to get momentum or inertia since the Hunt procs momentum for you. I would never really use this combo unless you know you can kill with it, since I feel like Elysian Decree should be stacked always with Hunt or Fel Barrage. Well peeps, here I have to inform you that only 4.3% of you are subscribed, so if you have been enjoying the content, please consider smashing that subscribe button. Before we get into the advanced side of things, we should talk about Metamorphosis again. Since we're not using chaotic transformations, I wouldn't really be scripting these into goes. I-Beam can also be treated similar by precasting it. The haste buff is really what you want and the Metamorphosis duration. So to make it very clear, all of these can be done with meta or I-Beam precasted, and we will go over some like that. Now for the advanced combos, and it's mainly just adding Vengeful Retreat to reset the initiative buff and maybe having meta or I-Beam precasted. Now bring all those together with Vengeful Retreat for your full combo. Basic Fel Barrage combo, this is the basic combo. The main thing you want is the Vengeful Retreat buff for the Fury and Immolation Aura running. Now all cooldowns with Fel Barrage. These are some variations of precasting meta and or I-Beam, and is actually more akin to what might happen in PvP. Now peeps, these are of course not all the combos for DH, and some maybe are not as optimal, but it gives you a great idea at how to combo with DH, and at least gives you an insight at how I think about comboing with DH. As usual, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things the YouTubers want you to do, and have a nice day.